Welcome, welcome, welcome. Today we have another episode of Consciousness Rising Zimbabwe and Beyond. My name is Antonella Bergione, and today I have a pleasure to have as a guest Karin Goldgruber. Welcome, Karin. Yes.
Hi, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Okay.
I wish we could do it in person in Zimbabwe, but Canada, Zimbabwe works well too.
That would be lovely. Before we go on with you, I just would like to tell our listener once again that we are Consciousness Rising. We invite people from all walks of life who are making a difference in their communities. And we think that Karin is one of them. So welcome once again, Karin. And I'm going to introduce you now. So she's a proud mother of two. She's a passionate hiker, a world traveler, a highly sensitive person, and this is actually the subject of our conversation today, and you will find out quite a bit that we didn't know before, as I didn't. And Karin is also the founder of The Next Step Coaching. She grew up in Austria, and then she moved to Canada. And once she was growing up, she felt like she was always different. Everybody would tell her, you're different, but she didn't know. And then when she was 40, she found out that actually she was a high sensitive person. We'll hear from her directly about this part of the story. And then she studied as an EFT practitioner, emotional freedom technique, that is quite an amazing technique that you're going to talk about as well. You got a blog for business people, specialized on high sensitive people in business, correct? Yes. And then one of her major gifts is the power of laughter that she uses as well in her practice so that people can take things not so seriously, even if they are. Correct as well.
Yes, it's amazing sometimes when I work with people on really difficult issues, and when we are able to reduce the intensity of feelings, how laughter automatically comes out, and it's really wonderful to see.
So what does it mean to be a highly sensitive person? Are you born with this? You become like that? How does it work? And also, what is your experience with it?
Okay, so highly sensitivity is also called sensory processing sensitivity. It's an inborn trait that about 15 to 20% of the population are born with. Dr. Elaine Aron did some research in the 80s and coined the term highly sensitive person and sensory processing sensitivity. And of course, this has always been here. It's just more research now. There's quite a lot of papers that you can read up on. It's just good to know that that this is an aspect of you, that an innate trait that you're born with, and it can be very helpful in living a better life. How would you know that you're a sensitive person? You probably have known most of your life. People told you you're too sensitive, you're too emotional, oh, you need to grow thicker skin. Oh, it was just a joke. Don't take it too seriously. But there are four main pillars of high sensitivity. There's depth of processing. There is an ability of very deep cognitive thinking, which can be used positively for, research and for work, but also negatively by overthinking what other people say, reading between the lines. So it can be either way, can go either way. Mm-hmm. The second part that really defines a highly sensitive person is that the nervous system is more excitable. We're easily overstimulated by sounds, noises, smells, inner and outer sensations. Just imagine having everything on all the time on high, like music, strong smells, and it's too hot, and everything is just very intense all the time. And of course, for every highly sensitive person, this is completely different. And sensitivity is a scale. So we all are sensitive, just to different degrees. I think that's really important. It doesn't make a person better or worse if they're a highly sensitive person or not. It's just like somebody has blue eyes, I have brown eyes. It's just a difference in how we are born. And that's really important to remember. We do have a greater emotional reactivity and also greater empathy. It's easy for us to pick up other people's feelings, how they might act because of our deep processing, I think, because we observe every subtle thing in our environment. It's just automatic that we notice. And that's the fourth pillar, really we are more aware of subtle stimuli. So everything that's going on in and around us, we notice it. And that can also sometimes lead to the overstimulation that we feel and the overreactivity. Because if you're constantly bombarded with data, it takes time and energy to process it. And sometimes it's just too much. And then you're just like, you're just, overreacting. Does that make sense?
It does. What's the difference of being a high sensitive person and being taking everything personally? In the sense of process and reaction.
I think that's again different from person to person, because some people just shrug everything off. For us, I think as HSPs, when somebody makes a joke, we really think about it. How did they mean it? Why would they say it? Has it anything to do with myself? So we really dissect so many things much deeper, and it's sometimes so automatic. It's not good, actually. I often say as HSPs, we read between the lines when there's nothing.
Yes. Oh, so we overread between.
We overread. We think. We assume, instead of just asking and saying, "Was this a joke? How did you mean it?" We just go into those stories that we tell ourselves, and go off in a direction that is nothing. Or if somebody's grumpy with you. You think it was about you, but maybe they just had a argument with their partner and they just jumped at you. Nothing to do with you, really.
Okay.
And with HSPs, many HSPs tell me sometimes they have conversations and days after they're still thinking about it. What was said, how could I have said it differently? It's we can take things very far sometimes.
You are helping people in business with these characteristics. So what are their strengths and challenges? How does it work in business?
The overstimulation is a big problem for business owners. I noticed many highly sensitive people are very creative, very multi-passionate, interested in so many things. And we'd like to bring all those passions into our life. And often we are said, oh, you have to focus on one thing. And most of us have tried just to focus on one thing. And then we felt like, oh, something is missing. I need all those parts in my life, in my business. However, even those things can be overwhelming because we're trying to do so many things at the same time, study about so many things at the same time. So when we're overstimulated, we get tired. We sometimes get overwhelmed by the sheer load of things we want to do. So we often overstimulate ourselves. So we need to be, go ahead.
And do you end up kind of freezing in the sense that you can't?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, I'm starting to have some hints for myself here. Okay.
Because we are open and we can think ahead and we like different things. We want to bring those things in, and then we freeze if there's too much, and then sometimes it takes too long to get out of it. We also need to remember that we need more breaks, that we get overstimulated by other people's feelings. So planning some breaks into your day, having a really good schedule that is still flexible enough for you, but that you have a structure, because if there's no structure, we do get paralyzed sometimes as well.
Yeah, and getting lost to doing other or starting new project or other things. Yes.
Yes.
So how do you overcome that?
What I have found the most helpful for me and my clients is EFT, emotional freedom techniques, because
Okay.
when our nervous system is overstimulated, when we're stressed and overwhelmed, a couple of things happen. First, often we go into fight, or freeze, like you mentioned before. And when we are stressed, the frontal cortex of our brain is basically turned off, because we don't really need it to survive to a bear attack, right? You just need to run. But in modern life now, there are so many stressors that put us in that state when we really don't need to have those responses. So getting out of the fight response, out of stress, is the first thing. So you can think logically again. Then you have empathy again, and your sense of humor also is online again when you're not stressed. And those are all very helpful things when dealing with business people.
Mm-hmm.
And EFT basically reduces your stress. It also is used to look at limiting core beliefs about yourself and about business. And that's a big part of the work that I do with my clients. For example, I had a client that she had a wonderful business, but she was so afraid to ask for the sale. And then we found out that she had a belief that she's not allowed to speak with strangers, that it's dangerous, that it's life-threatening.
Okay.
When we worked on that, she was able to go out and ask for the sale, and she was able to deal with the rejection. But before, she tried and she would force herself, she would sit in, it was horrible before. And so it really helps to shift perceptions and creates a positive outlooks as well.
Maybe I'll ask after when we finish to do a round to show people how they can use it in a short time for stress. Maybe we can do
Sure.
one round or two of tapping so that people
Sure.
can see what this methodology is, this method is about.
Vanilla, if you like, I can show you a couple of things that are very simple when somebody notices that they're feeling overwhelmed. Like, for example, putting your hand here on your
Okay.
collarbone, tapping lightly on your collarbone.
Uh-huh. And breathe. I mean, you release with your
Just,
breath.
yeah. And did you notice how your breath was suddenly, there was a deeper breath? So that's a very simple thing to do. If you're in a meeting, you can tap on the side of your fingers.
Okay.
Underneath the table, because that's an acupressure point as well, and it also helps to reduce stress.
Oh, that's
Or
nice.
you can
Oh, I can feel all the energy along my spine. That's nice.
nice. See, it's so
Yeah.
simple. If you're
Yes.
standing in the grocery store and you're stressed, it helps you just in between taking breaks like that, where you're reducing stress, is so helpful for everyone, not just the highly sensitive people.
And what can help them to see uh, these characters of them as a strength? Because I'm sure that once you find out that you're a high sensitive person, you don't take it lightly. I mean, no, lightly. I mean, in the sense that you can be quite disappointed. Oh, that's why. Okay. So then now what? I mean, yeah.
Yeah, there's two reactions when people find out that they're highly sensitive people, and there's still lots of adults that don't know. So the first reaction is kind of relief. Okay, I'm not the only one. I'm not alone. I'm not that weird as I thought. The other reaction is like, oh, great, something else that I need to learn, or something else I need to do. So I think the biggest thing for highly sensitive people is to start living at their own pace. Because when we follow our own pace, then we are not stressed. And it's hard in a society that values go, go, go all the time. We need regular breaks. We love nature. Plan to be out in nature. HSPs have a very deep appreciation and connection with art, and helps us to restore our soul, our senses. So that's one of the some of the things that you can do. But when we are not overwhelmed, and when we're self-regulated, when we have a good self-regulated nervous system, then things that we see negative, like being able to deeply process things, are very helpful. We can deeply process information about our business. We are able to look ahead and predict how certain things will turn out, which is very beneficial because we can avoid mistakes and the cost associated with mistakes in a business.
Would you give me some examples?
I've noticed in some, when I was working for some companies, it was always new managers would come in and they would always say, oh, let's make this and this and this change. And I would say, from my experience and thinking ahead, this problem could arise. And they're like, no, 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 it's a great idea. They would implement it. And then a half a year later, exactly what I had predicted would happen. I can't think of an example right now. Would happen, and they're like all surprised, and I'm like, why are you surprised? I told you this could potentially happen, and it really did. So our ability to think ahead often, and you'll notice that in yourself too, Antonella, we know, because we pay attention to so many things, we often trendsetters and we don't even realize it. We do things and then they become normal for us. Like, I was drinking smoothies with my sons like 20 years ago. Now, the last 5 years, big hype. I was always foraging, having edible plants and flowers in my garden many years ago. And now again, it's like, oh, it's so popular. One thing that we are really bad at too is, like, we are good at learning things, but we are such perfectionists. Instead of when we really have a sound body of information to share it, we wait and wait and wait. And then we get upset when somebody who just read one article about something shows up as an expert. I'm sure you have noticed that as well.
Yes, especially these days.
Yeah,
Yes.
And we need to speak up more, because usually our body of knowledge is very solid, very good. We just always want to add more and more. Yeah.
It's never enough. Yes, there is always something more to learn. Yeah. No, I know perfectly what you are, and what you're talking, and then it becomes like it's not good. It's not good at all. It's not good at all.
Because we were saying about strengths as well. So when we are really self-regulated, we are really good strategic planners. We can be very focused. I notice with my clients that when they are focused, they can get more work done in less time. Very productive, very creative, and very good at connecting with other people, making quick and deep connections with other people, and being able to have very deep conversations with others. And I think that's very important. HSPs in a team are incredible at picking up what's going on in the team. I've been on so many teams where I've, like, oh, something is wrong. I noticed it in myself first. And when I would bring it up, people would say, oh yeah, now I know what's going on. I couldn't put it into words yet. So this can prevent a lot of dysfunction or problems in teams, like in bigger corporations as well. To have somebody who notices things, brings it up. And I often say that HSPs, we are canaries in the mine, where when something is wrong with us, all the things that are implemented to make it better for the highly sensitive person also benefit other people. For example, flexible work hours, or maybe better lighting or more plants in the work environment are beneficial for everyone.
Karin, you told us so much already about the high sensitive people, but what's your personal experience with it? Because this one you haven't told us, if you want to share, of course.
um, and it's also linked, my story as a highly sensitive person is also linked with my desire to be an entrepreneur and to be a different teacher. I remember as early as 5 years old, creating little bouquets of flowers and selling to the guests that came by bus to my grandparents' restaurant. Whenever there was something, I always thought about, and very little, about creating a business. The desire to become a different teacher sprang out of having a very verbally and physically abusive teacher in grade 1 and 2. Now, as I have worked through all those things that happened, I'm actually grateful to her, because this is when the dream was born, to be a sensitive teacher and help others accomplishing what they want to do. My apprenticeship, 4 years, was really hard. However, because I grew up in a very loving and supportive family, it was easy to work through the stresses of a 4-year apprenticeship. And it's really proven that HSPs that have a good, solid, supportive environment will do very well in their life. It's a little bit more difficult for HSPs that have a bad environment growing up. The good thing is, through EFT and other things, those things can be changed in adulthood as well. I am immigrated to Canada very early. I was in my early 20s. Wonderful experience as well, because it helped me to see, because I'm a citizen of 2 countries. Yeah. And you can relate to that, Antonella.
Yes.
I think I'm more Austrian when I'm in Canada and more Canadian when I'm in Austria.
I know, really, it just works magic. It just was magic. I remember when I migrated in Zimbabwe at the beginning, in my mind, I had in Italy, I've never spoke dialect, and then yet I came here, and dialect started to come through me. Sicilian, and it was shocking. It's like, but we never spoke dialect at home. It's like something else set in, a different part of, yes, just to make us feel home in a different way.
Yeah, and also a different appreciation about all the things that I learned and experienced in Austria, and also being open to the things here in Canada and how people are. And what I experienced as an immigrant, I feel there's this space between the 2 countries where I have the opportunity, the freedom to really be who I am. There was no expectations, because most Canadians really didn't know, what an Austrian is. So it gave me the opportunity to discover who I am and to take the best of both cultures and countries, which is really amazing. And also being open to learning from other cultures around the world. And that's what I love about Canada. Like, you meet people from all around the world. It's wonderful. And this in-between space, this love and appreciation that I have for both countries, I find connects the 2 countries through my love. And you are connecting Zimbabwe and Italy through your love and through your experience. And there's so many immigrants around the world who are doing the same. And I think we really elevate our experience to, yes, I'm a citizen of Canada, citizen of Austria, but we elevate it and we understand that we are human citizens, that we are world citizens, that this world belongs to all of us. And I think that's a wonderful role that we are allowed to play.
Yes, and we need much more of that these days. Yes. So we have decided that when it's possible with consciousness rising, also to offer our listeners some tools that they can practice at home. So I'm wondering if you would like to offer us a small EFT session where people can deal with stress.
If you're working with me, of course we can do
Yes,
that.
I'll do that. Yes.
All right. So the way to use EFT, if you haven't had any experience or this is completely new to you, is when you're feeling overwhelmed, when you're noticing a strong feeling of any kind. Let's say something just a little bit stressed, right? Like or a little bit of overwhelm. So you identify the feeling, and Antonella, is there a feeling that you experienced today that was a little bit elevated that we can use?
Oh, I can
that as
say
an
maybe a
example?
bit of tiredness because I was on a Zoom conference all week. So it was many
Okay.
hours on this, I mean, with the screen in front of me and a systemic constellation conference. So it was quite deep and intense. The work was quite deep and intense.
So
So I
you
would like
felt
to
this
release any
tiredness.
excess from all the week.
Okay. So is it a little bit overwhelmed too, or overstimulation? What is it exactly?
Overstimulation, yes, I would say that. I would say that.
Okay.
Yes.
And if you're feeling into your body right now, on a scale from 0 to 10, 10 being the highest, how strong do you feel this overstimulation?
I would say between 6 and 7.
Okay. And do you feel this anywhere in your body?
On the stomach area. In the stomach area.
Any shape? Does it have any shape or form, or what does it look like?
It's like almost like diaphragm-like. Yeah, but it's more. It's harder. It feels like harder.
Okay, so it's like a band of something hard. Okay.
Semi-hard, yes.
So basically, for everybody who's listening, you determine what feeling you're feeling, how strong the feeling is, and please write it down so you can see and measure if you have any results through tapping. And notice if you notice it anywhere in your body. Like Antonella said, it's like this, like a diaphragm kind of harder.
Yes.
Block?
Yeah.
Is it like a block?
Like a rubbery thing. Rubber. Like a rubber. Something that should be there. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And then we start with the setup statement where we state the feeling, the problem, and it's combined with a statement of accepting yourself. Okay. So we're looking at the problem and we acknowledge we have the problem and that you're still okay even though you have the problem. Okay. So we get started with the setup statement and we tap on the side of the hand. Even though I feel overstimulated.
I feel overstimulated.
And I feel it in my stomach.
And I feel it in my stomach.
I accept myself and how I feel.
I accept myself and how I feel.
Okay, and this setup statement is done 3 times. Even though I feel overstimulated.
Even though I feel overstimulated.
I accept myself and how I feel.
I accept myself and how I feel.
Even though
I feel overstimulated, I accept myself and how I feel.
Okay. On top of your head, this overstimulation. The next point is between the eyebrow point between the eyebrow and the nose.
Yes.
I'm overstimulated.
I'm overstimulated.
Side of the eye, right where the bone is. You can tap with both hands or left or right. It really doesn't matter. I feel overstimulated.
I feel overstimulated and actually quite anxious, funny enough, now that I'm...
And anxious?
A bit, yeah.
Okay. Underneath the eye, I feel overstimulated and a little bit anxious.
I feel overstimulated and a bit anxious.
Underneath the nose, this overstimulation
This overstimulation.
Next point is the chin point, right where the little groove is. This overstimulation in my stomach.
This overstimulation in my stomach.
Collarbone point. Oh, what just happened there, Antonella?
I feel a release of energy.
Okay. This overstimulation.
This overstimulation.
Underneath your arm. This overstimulation.
This overstimulation.
Okay.
Okay.
Energy is already moving. You're yawning.
Yes.
A good sign.
Yes. Yes.
When you're thinking about the overstimulation that you described before, how intense is it now?
6, 5.5. Yeah, between 5 and 6. No.
Okay, so we got it down a little bit. How is your stomach? Is the band, the rubber band, how does it look like?
It's smaller, still there. Yes, and I can see how stress and anxiety are related.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And if we would do a full session, I would write down anxiety and distress and all those things as well, and we would focus on them after. First, we'll reduce the feeling of overstimulation, and then take care of those things as well. Did you wanna do one more round just to show, or do you think this is a good way to?
Yeah, maybe you can do one round so that people can get more the angle of it.
Of course. And also board benefits is a term that we use in EFT. Just by watching somebody like us tapping, you will notice a change as well, just by watching.
Oh, so you don't have to follow and do it as well while we are doing
Most
it?
people, just by watching, our mirror neurons will start working. And just watching or tapping along also creates benefits for the person.
Okay. All right.
Even though I feel overstimulated.
I feel overstimulated.
And I feel it in my stomach.
And I feel it still a bit in my stomach.
I accept myself and how I feel.
I accept myself and how I feel.
Even though I feel overstimulated.
Even though I feel overstimulated.
And I feel a bit of it still in my stomach.
And I feel a little bit in my stomach.
I accept myself and how I feel.
I accept myself and how I feel.
Even though
I feel overstimulated.
And I feel it in my stomach.
And I feel it in my stomach. I accept myself and how I feel.
Okay. This overstimulation.
This overstimulation.
This band in my stomach.
This band in my stomach. I can feel the tiredness of all this week. That is really.
The tiredness is coming now. Okay, I'm tired.
I'm tired. Yeah.
I was overstimulated all week.
I was overstimulated all weeks. There were like 8 hours, between 8 and 10 hours conferences per day. And I've never been all the time on the Zoom. But it was so interesting. But it was so interesting. Yes. There was so much to learn. It was absolutely beautiful, but tiring. Yeah.
Yeah. It was beautiful and tiring. I was overstimulated.
I was really overstimulated.
I got overstimulated and tired.
I got overstimulated and tired. And I'm
how you feel?
Of tapping now.
Pardon?
I'm very grateful of tapping now. Really
And Antonella, a perfect example of how a highly sensitive person gets so excited and, books the whole day, no breaks in between. And then at the end of the week, overstimulated, overtired, and like, your
Yes.
energy is just zero.
Okay, so now I can tell you that I feel the flow of energy all over my body. It has
Mhm.
completely shifted. There is nothing in my stomach. It's really just with two round. Okay, it wasn't a very deep or dramatic experience because with EFT, like with many other methodology, you can go from trauma, from any issue. Really, you can tap on any different issue that can happen in your life, and yeah.
The nice thing is about tapping, just in 2 rounds, you felt so much better as a highly sensitive person. I do that all the time too, when I'm noticing that I'm overstimulated or I'm like frozen, I don't know what to do. I take a break, I tap a couple of minutes, even, oh, I'm so overwhelmed right now. I don't know where to start. I don't know, there's so much work. I don't know where to start. And then I notice as I'm tapping and speaking about the things that are going through my mind that I'm calming down, and then I'm able to continue with my work. So just a couple minutes, several times during the day are so helpful for anyone if you're feeling overwhelmed or whatever feelings are coming up and you feel they're too intense, you can reduce them with EFT.
Yes, and you have got, is it a Facebook group or is your page where you have posted lots of videos, if I remember?
I have a YouTube channel under my name. Also on Facebook, there's Soul Connections for Highly Sensitive People is my
Okay. Yes,
a
we'll
Facebook
put
group.
all the info in the description so you can go and check it out. Yes.
May I also mention the Keep Calm? I do a Friday on Fridays, 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, Canada, from
Which,
1
yeah.
till 1:30, tapping for business owners. This is a complimentary session that I started when COVID hit. So many business owners were frozen, didn't know what to do, and I helped them to get out of that and to take steps in their business. And we're still doing that every Friday.
So Friday, 1 o'clock Eastern time for
Yes.
business owner. Oh gosh,
Yes.
that's beautiful. That's really beautiful. And so we're going to put all the information in the description below. And you, on your website, there is also a questionnaire where you can find out if you are a high sensitive person. And I
Yes.
did it, and it came out positive. Positive. And yes, what would you like to add? I don't know. Do you have any courses coming up, or?
I have a course coming up in September. It's called Bigger, Bolder Business.
Okay.
And in this course, we are exploring and finding negative core beliefs around business. And then we use EFT tapping to reduce them. And it's really interesting to see the steps that participants are taking during the course and after as they're reducing those limiting core beliefs, like, like this one, I'm not allowed to speak to strangers, money is not good, I should be happy as a housewife. It's very interesting, the beliefs, subconscious beliefs that are coming up, and participants are often very surprised. They had this belief that is like a program running in the back of their mind.
If there is one last thing that you would like to say.
Okay, one last thing to say. I think that being a highly sensitive person and having discovered this trait really helped me to come out of my shell. I'm a very private person. Being able to do an interview like this with you, Antonella, or even just writing my blogs was a big step for me. And EFT really helped me to overcome all those fears, writing and tapping while I was afraid of being criticized. So it can be and is a wonderful addition to knowing more about yourself, and another, even like a tool to create a more fulfilling life. It's quite exciting.
Fantastic. I can personally guarantee Karin. I worked with her. It's fun to work with. And you can also tap on quite intense emotion or issues. And thank you so much for having been with us today.
Thank you. Can I mention one more thing?
Yes.
I'm a trauma-informed clinical EFT practitioner,
Mhm.
which I think is really important to look at the world through a trauma-informed lens. Really changed how I work with clients.
There is so much trauma unresolved. My God, we
Yeah,
see
and
it
that's a
every
couple
day.
other interviews.
Mm. Yeah, it's it's a very important topic that at the moment is really resurfacing all over the world, and because it wants to be healed. It
I
really
agree.
does. It really does. So once again, thank you so much for having been with us. And yeah, so you can reach Karin anytime you like on social media and so on.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Antonella. This was
Thank you.
fun.
Thank you so much.